All right, so in this video, we're going to be looking at the quiz that you just took for lessons 10.1 to 10.3. And just as a reminder, the order that my quiz will be in will probably be in a different order than what yours was in. Let's look at what my first one says here. It says, how many ways can a 4-member committee be selected from a club with 15 members? And then follow-up question, if the club's 15 members include 8 men and 7 women, how many committees of 2 men and 2 women can be formed? So there's 2 parts to this one. So going back to that first part where it says, how many ways can a 4-member committee be selected from a club with 15 members? Okay, so we have 15 members that are going to be in this club, and we're going to create a committee out of 4 of those members. So it'd be a combination of 15, and we're going to select 4 of them. So our answer for that would be 1,365. So that's what you put in for that first answer, 1,365. Now the second part is being more specific. It says if the club's 15 members include 8 men and 7 women, how many committees of 2 men and 2 women can be formed? All right, so we would have, so we're going to take that 15 and we're going to break that up. So we're going to have 8 men, and out of those 8 men, we're going to select 2 of them. And then there's 7 women, and out of those 7 women, we're going to select 2 women. So we're going to do each of these. So 8 choose 2 is 28. And 7 choose 2 is 21. So when you multiply those 2 together, we get 588. So 588 different ways that can be done. All right, let's look at the next one. You're about to go on a trip. You have 18 pairs of socks in your drawer. 10 of them are white and 8 of them are black. You're picking in a hurry and you randomly grab 6 pairs of socks and throw them in your suitcase. What is the probability that 4 of the pairs are white and 2 are black? Right transfer the decimal around to the 3 numbers past the decimal. All right, so the first thing, so anytime we deal with probabilities, that's the difference between this one and the previous one, is when we're dealing with the probability, we're going to set it up as a fraction. And the denominators can represent the whole amount. That's before we get into anything specific. And so here we have 18 socks in our drawer, and it doesn't matter what's what. Okay, it just matters that there's 18 pairs of socks, and we're going to randomly grab 6 of them. So that's what would go in our denominator. In our numerator, there's 10 of them that are white, and there's 8 of them that are black. Okay. And you're picking in a hurry and you randomly grab 6 pairs and throw them in the suitcase. What's the probability that 4 of them are white? Okay, so we have 10 pairs of white ones to choose from, and we're going to select 4 of them. And we have 8 black pairs of socks to choose from, and we're going to be selecting 2 that are black. So by the way, when you're doing these, just a little test to make sure that you're doing everything, have everything set up to be right. This number and this number, your n's should add up to be whatever this n is in our denominator. And our r values, which is 4 and 2, should add up to be our r value in the denominator. So that's a quick way that you can test and make sure that you have it set up correctly. So I'm just going to do the top part all in one step. So I'm just going to type this in on my calculator. 10 choose 4 times 8. We're choosing 2. And you get 5,880. Whoops, I don't want a highlighter anymore. So we get 5,880 in the numerator. In the denominator, we have 18 items. We're going to, like I said, be selecting 6 of them. So we get 18,564. So our answer is supposed to be in as a decimal rounded to 3 numbers past the decimal. So when you do that on your calculator, we get 0.31, and then it's 67. So you want to make sure you round that up to 7. So 3.317 would be our answer. So rounding is important. You want to make sure you round correctly. All right, the value of 10 choose 4 would be found in the what row? Okay, so since n is 10, that's going to be in the 10th row. And it's going to be, so 10 choose 4 would be the 5th term in that row. And if you're wondering why that is, remember you start with the very first term would be 10 choose 0. So if you can't see me right now, but I'm using my fingers. So we'd have 10 choose 0 would be the first term, 10 choose 1 would be the second term, 10 choose 2 would be the third, then 10 choose 3 would be the fourth, and then 10 choose 4 would be the 5th number. So that's going to be the 10th in the 10th row, and it's going to be the 5th term of that, or value in that row. Okay, so this one's asking us to find the entire x to the 4th term when expanding x plus y to the 7th. We might have to use that caret button if we need an exponent, so that's all that's describing. So we want to find, so we're in the 7th row, so it's going to be 7 choose something. Now I don't know what that is yet, but we know that it's going to have an x and a y, and we want the term that it's the x to the 4th term. So what that means is that the y values, remember the exponents have to add up to be our degree, which is 7. So the y value has to be 3, so that means this has got to be 7 choose 3 as well. So the entire term, if we do 7 choose 3, would be 35. Let me just write that down, then I'll type it later. So we'd have 35 x to the 4th y cubed. So that would be your answer. So the way that we would type that in is we would type that in as 35 x, then we have to use that caret button, and then 4, and then y, and then our caret button, 3. So even though it doesn't look pretty, that's the way we would type it in. All right, so this is one of the other properties of Pascal's triangle. Remember, the sum of any row of Pascal's triangle would be 2 to whatever row we're in. So 2 with the exponent is whatever row you're in. So we're in the 10th row, so it'd be 2 to the 10th power. So if you do 2 to the 10th power on your calculator, we get 1024. And it doesn't matter if you put a comma in there or not, either one would be the correct answer. All right, so this one, 6 coins are tossed. How many total ways can you get at least 3 tails? So that means if we have 6 coins, so we could have 6 choose 3, we could have 6 choose 4, 6 choose 5, and 6 choose 6, and we're going to add those all together. Well, 6 choose 3, we can do this in our calculator. 6 choose 3 would be 20. 6 choose 4 would be 15. And this one should be 6, and the next one should be 1. And so then we're going to add those together. So if we take 20 plus 15 plus 6 plus 1, we end up getting 42 as our answer. So there's 42 different ways that could happen. All right, moving right along here with number 7, it says, which row of Pascal's triangle would be used to find the coefficients for the expansion of that? This is just meant to be just a simple one. That would be in the 4th row, because the exponent, the degree, was 4. So this one, we're going to expand that out. Okay, we're going to expand this one out. We're going to fill in the blanks with just the coefficients. So we're in the 4th row. So remember, the 4th row is 1, 4, 6, 4, 1. So here's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to actually expand my screen out. So we'll come back to this quiz here in just a minute. But I'm going to do this to make it a little easier. All right, so we're going to have, I'm going to put more space now between these numbers. Okay, so starting with the 2a, so we'd have 2a to the 4th power. And I'm going to do it this way. This is another way that we could do it, just to make sure that we get our answer right. So remember, with the 2a value, that's going to go in descending order, meaning it's going to get smaller from one term to the next. The b value, the second value here, that's going to get larger from one term to the next. Now technically we don't need to put this in parentheses, but just to be consistent with other ones that we've done, I'll put parentheses there. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to simplify this. Now the other thing too to make sure of before we go on is you want to make sure that your exponents add up to be 4 for each term. So I see that. So I have 2 and 2, I have 1 and 3, and I have 0 and 4. So you want to make sure that all of those patterns exist before we go to simplify it. So now when I go to simplify this, 2 to the 4th power would be 16. So we'd have 16 times 1, and there's nothing to multiply the 16 by, but we would have a to the 4th. b to the 0 is just 1, so that means nothing. Now for this next one, we're going to have 2 cubed. 2 cubed is 8, But then we have to take 8 times 4, and we get 32. So this will be 32a cubed times b to the first, or just b. Now this next term, we'd have 2 squared. We have to square the 2, and we get 4. We multiply that times 6, and we would get 24. So we have 24a squared b squared. And then next, we would have 2 to the first power, which is just 2, times 4, which is 8. So we'd have 8a times b cubed. And then lastly, 2 to the 0 power, that's 1. This would be 1, so we're just left with just b to the 4th. So your coefficient for that one, by the way, would just be 1b to the 4th. Move that over so we can see all of that. So when we go to type this in, we would have 16 for this first one, and then 32. So we already have the variables in there. So the a cubed b is there. So we have 24a squared b squared, and then we would have 8ab cubed. And then lastly, what we'd put in here is just 1, so 1b to the 4th. And if you didn't put that 1, if you left it in there blank, I still gave you credit. But in the future, just know to put a 1 in there. Well, that's it. That is the end of the quiz. So hopefully that answers any questions you might have had. And if you still have some questions, please make sure that you reach out to me and let me know so we can go over those in more detail.